Part 1. Introduction to the Transference of Memories. Good evening, dear listener. As you settle into your comfortable space, allow your mind to drift gently into a state of relaxation. Imagine yourself floating effortlessly through the vast expanse of human consciousness, where thoughts and experiences intertwine across generations. In this tranquil journey, we will explore the intriguing concept of the transference of memories, a theory suggesting that our experiences and those of our ancestors may be passed down through generations, influencing our behaviors, instincts, and perhaps even our identities. The idea that memories or experiences can be inherited challenges traditional notions of memory and learning, proposing that we might carry echoes of our ancestors' lives within us. As we embark on this exploration, let your imagination wander through the corridors of time, contemplating the possibility that the past lives on within us in ways we are only beginning to understand. Part 2. The Science of Memory and Inheritance. As we continue our exploration into the transference of memories, it's essential to understand the foundational concepts of memory and inheritance. Traditionally, memory has been viewed as the brain's capacity to store and retrieve information, while inheritance pertains to the transmission of genetic material from one generation to the next. However, emerging research suggests that these processes may be more interconnected than previously thought. So it's a traditional understanding of memory. Memory is typically categorized into different types. So it's short-term memory, the temporary storage of information, such as recalling a phone number long enough to dial it. So it's surely long-term memory, the enduring retention of information encompassing facts, experiences, and skills. So surely these memories are stored through complex neural networks and synaptic connections, allowing individuals to learn from experiences and adapt to their environment. So surely genetic inheritance. Inheritance has long been understood through the lens of genetics, where DNA sequences are passed from parents to offspring, determining traits such as eye color, height, and susceptibility to certain diseases. This genetic code was traditionally viewed as static, with variations arising primarily through mutations over long periods. Develop epigenetics, bridging memory and inheritance. Epigenetics introduces a layer of complexity to our understanding of inheritance. It involves changes in gene expression that do not alter the underlying DNA sequence, but can be influenced by environmental factors and experiences. These changes can affect how genes are turned on or off, and intriguingly, can be passed down to subsequent generations. Develop mechanisms of epigenetic inheritance. Several mechanisms facilitate epigenetic inheritance. Develop DNA methylation, the addition of methyl groups to DNA molecules, which can suppress gene activity. Develop histone modification, the alteration of proteins called histones around which DNA is wound, influencing gene accessibility. Develop non-coding RNAs, RNA molecules that do not code for proteins but can regulate gene expression. Develop these mechanisms enable organisms to adapt to environmental changes more rapidly than through genetic mutations alone. Develop transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. Emerging research suggests that experiences, particularly those involving stress or trauma, can lead to epigenetic changes that are inherited by subsequent generations. This phenomenon, known as transgenerational epigenetic inheritance, implies that the life experiences of parents or even grandparents can influence the biology and behavior of their descendants. Develop 8 implications for memory transference. The concept of transgenerational epigenetic inheritance raises intriguing questions about the potential for memories or the effects of experiences to be passed down through generations. While the idea of direct memory transfer remains within the realm of speculation, the inheritance of traits influenced by ancestral experiences suggests a more profound connection between memory and inheritance than previously recognized. Develop 8 empathy small these concepts. Consider the possibility that your own behaviors, preferences, and even fears might be influenced not only by your personal experiences but also by the lives and experiences of your ancestors. This interconnectedness across generations adds a rich tapestry to our understanding of identity and memory. Part 3: Case Studies and Research on Transgenerational Memory. As we delve deeper into the concept of transgenerational memory, it's enlightening to explore specific studies and research that shed light on how experiences might influence subsequent generations. These investigations provide intriguing insights into the potential mechanisms behind the inheritance of experiences. The Överkalix study, in a remote region of Sweden, the Överkalix study examined historical records to assess the impact of ancestral food availability on the health of descendants. Researchers discovered that grandsons of men who experienced food abundance during their pre-adolescent years had a higher risk of diabetes, while those whose grandfathers faced food scarcity had a reduced risk. This study suggests that environmental factors can have repercussions across generations, potentially through epigenetic mechanisms. This Holocaust survivors and their offspring research involving children of Holocaust survivors revealed that the trauma experienced by parents could lead to epigenetic changes in their offspring. These children exhibited alterations in stress response genes, indicating that the profound stress endured by one generation might influence the genetic expression in the next. These were animal studies on stress and behavior. Animal models have provided further evidence of transgenerational effects. This was early life stress in mice. Male mice subjected to stress due to inadequate maternal care exhibited epigenetic changes in their sperm. Their offspring displayed similar stress behaviors and molecular alterations, suggesting the transmission of stress responses across generations. Social isolation in mice. Male mice experiencing social isolation showed increased anxiety and stress hormone levels. Their progeny also exhibited heightened stress responses, implicating the inheritance of stress-induced traits. Mechanisms of transgenerational inheritance. The exact mechanisms underlying these observations remain an area of active research. Epigenetic modifications such as DNA methylation and histone modification are believed to play pivotal roles in how experiences influence gene expression without altering the DNA sequence. These modifications can potentially be passed to subsequent generations, thereby affecting their physiological and behavioral traits. So as relax and ponder these studies, consider the profound interconnectedness of life and how the experiences of one generation might ripple through time to influence the next. This exploration into transgenerational memory invites us to reflect on the lasting impact of our actions and environments, not just on ourselves but on future generations as well. Part 4: Mechanisms of Transgenerational Epigenetic Inheritance. As we journey further into the realm of transgenerational memory, It's essential to understand the mechanisms that might facilitate the inheritance of experiences across generations. While the exact processes remain a topic of active research, several key mechanisms have been proposed. These are 1. DNA methylation. DNA methylation involves the addition of methyl groups to DNA molecules, typically acting to suppress gene expression. This modification can be influenced by environmental factors and, intriguingly, may be passed down through generations, affecting how genes are expressed in descendants. 2. Histone modification. Histones are proteins around which DNA is wound, and their chemical modification can influence gene accessibility. Changes in histone acetylation or methylation can activate or repress gene expression, and these modifications have the potential to be inherited, thereby influencing gene expression patterns in offspring. 3. Non-coding RNAs. Non-coding RNAs, including microRNAs, do not code for proteins but play crucial roles in regulating gene expression. These molecules can be transmitted through germ cells and may carry information about environmental exposures or experiences, thereby influencing gene expression in subsequent generations. 4. Germline epigenetic reprogramming. During the development of germ cells, sperm and eggs, epigenetic marks are typically reset to ensure totipotency, the ability to develop into any cell type. However, some epigenetic modifications may escape this reprogramming, allowing them to be transmitted to the next generation. This escape from reprogramming is a potential mechanism for transgenerational inheritance. 5. Environmental influences. Environmental factors such as diet, stress, and exposure to toxins can induce epigenetic changes. These environmentally induced modifications can potentially be inherited, leading to phenotypic changes in descendants without alterations to the underlying DNA sequence. Somatic epigenetic resetting. Recent research suggests that, in addition to germline reprogramming, there may be mechanisms in somatic non-reproductive cells that reset epigenetic marks, preventing the transmission of certain epigenetic information. This somatic epigenetic resetting could serve as a barrier to transgenerational inheritance, ensuring that only specific epigenetic changes are passed on. So as you relax and reflect on these mechanisms, consider the intricate dance between our genes and the environment. The possibility that our experiences can leave a lasting imprint on future generations adds depth to our understanding of inheritance and identity. Part 5. The role of small RNAs in epigenetic inheritance. As we continue our exploration into the transference of memories and experiences across generations, we delve into the fascinating world of small RNAs and their role in epigenetic inheritance. These tiny molecules have emerged as significant players in the regulation of gene expression and the potential transmission of acquired traits. So understanding small RNAs. Small RNAs are short, non-coding RNA molecules that play crucial roles in regulating gene expression at the post-transcriptional level. They include various classes, such as microRNAs, mRNAs, small interfering RNAs, siRNAs, and Pwi-interacting RNAs, pRNAs. These molecules can bind to messenger RNAs, mRNAs, and either degrade them or inhibit their translation into proteins, thereby controlling the levels of specific proteins within cells. Social RNAs in germ cells. Research has shown that small RNAs are abundant in germ cells, sperm and eggs, and are involved in the regulation of gene expression during development. Their presence in germ cells suggests a potential mechanism for transmitting information about environmental exposures or experiences to the next generation. Social RNAs in germ cells. Research has shown that small RNAs are abundant. Studies in animal models have provided evidence for the role of small RNAs in transgenerational inheritance. Social RNAs in metabolic disorders. Research has demonstrated that sperm-borne small RNAs can mediate the inheritance of paternally acquired metabolic disorders. For example, alterations in sperm RNA content have been linked to the transmission of metabolic phenotypes to offspring. Social RNA changes, exposure to stress in male mice, has been shown to alter the composition of small RNAs in sperm, leading to behavioral and metabolic changes in their progeny. This suggests that small RNAs can carry information about environmental stresses to the next generation. Social RNAs in transmission of small RNAs mediate transgenerational inheritance are still under investigation. However, it is proposed that environmental factors can influence the biogenesis and modification of small RNAs in germ cells, which are then delivered to the zygote at fertilization. These small RNAs can modulate gene expression during early development, potentially leading to phenotypic changes that persist into adulthood. Social RNA for human health. Understanding the role of small RNAs in epigenetic inheritance has significant implications for human health. Social RNAs in germ cells. This could affect the health and disease risk of future generations. Social RNA strategies targeting small RNA pathways may offer novel approaches for preventing or mitigating the transmission of acquired traits or diseases. Social RNA alters the intricate dance of molecules within our cells. Consider how these tiny small RNAs might serve as messengers, carrying whispers of our experiences forward to future generations. This emerging field of study opens new vistas in our understanding of heredity, memory, and the profound interconnectedness of life. Part 6. Lamarckian Perspectives and Modern Epigenetics. As we continue our exploration into the transference of memories and experiences across generations, it's intriguing to revisit historical theories in light of modern scientific discoveries. One such theory is Lamarckism, proposed by the 18th century naturalist Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, which suggested that organisms could pass on traits acquired during their lifetimes to their offspring. While this idea was largely overshadowed by Darwinian evolution, contemporary research in epigenetics has rekindled discussions about Lamarckian mechanisms in inheritance. Theory Lamarckism. An overview. Lamarckism posited that organisms adapt to their environments through the use or disuse of certain traits, and these adaptations are then inherited by subsequent generations. For example, Lamarck theorized that giraffes developed long necks because their ancestors stretched to reach higher leaves, and this acquired trait was passed down. However, this concept lacked empirical support and was eventually supplanted by Darwin's theory of natural selection. Theory epigenetics and Lamarckian mechanisms. Recent advancements in epigenetics have revealed mechanisms that, in some respects, echo Lamarckian ideas. Theory epigenetic inheritance. Epigenetic modifications, such as DNA methylation and histone modification, can regulate gene expression without altering the underlying DNA sequence. These changes can be influenced by environmental factors and in some cases transmitted to offspring, affecting their traits and behaviors. Transgenerational effects. Studies have shown that environmental exposures, such as stress or diet, can lead to epigenetic changes that persist for multiple generations. For instance, research on rodents has demonstrated that stress-induced epigenetic modifications can result in altered stress responses in descendants. Debate and implications. The notion that acquired characteristics can be inherited through epigenetic mechanisms has sparked debate among scientists. Support for Lamarckian elements. Some researchers argue that epigenetic inheritance represents a form of soft inheritance, aligning with Lamarckian principles. They suggest that organisms can adapt to environmental challenges within a single generation, and these adaptations can be passed to offspring. Skepticism and limitations. Critics caution that while epigenetic changes can be inherited, they may not be stable over many generations and often revert to the original state. Additionally, the extent to which these mechanisms contribute to evolution and long-term adaptation remains under investigation. Temporary research and perspectives. Notable scientists have contributed to the discourse on epigenetic inheritance. Eva Jablonka. A prominent figure in evolutionary biology, Jablonka has explored non-genetic forms of inheritance, including epigenetic mechanisms and their role in evolution. Her work emphasizes the complexity of inheritance beyond traditional genetic paradigms. Michael Skinner. Skinner's research has demonstrated that environmental toxicants can induce epigenetic changes in germ cells, leading to transgenerational inheritance of disease phenotypes in animal models. His findings suggest that environmental factors can have lasting effects on health across generations. As you relax and reflect on these perspectives, consider how modern science is uncovering layers of complexity in inheritance and adaptation. The interplay between our genes, environments, and experiences weaves a rich tapestry that shapes not only our lives, but also those of future generations. Part 7. Transgenerational Trauma. The Legacy of Ancestral Experiences. As we delve deeper into the concept of transgenerational memory, we encounter the profound phenomenon of transgenerational trauma, the transmission of trauma effects from one generation to subsequent ones. This concept suggests that the experiences of our ancestors, particularly traumatic ones, can influence the behaviors, health, and emotional well-being of their descendants. Understanding transgenerational trauma. Transgenerational trauma refers to the psychological and physiological effects that the trauma experienced by people has on subsequent generations in that group. The primary mode of transmission is the shared family environment of the infant, causing psychological, behavioral, and social changes in the individual. Mechanisms of transmission. The transmission of trauma across generations can occur through various pathways. Epigenetic changes. Traumatic experiences can lead to biochemical modifications in genes, such as DNA methylation, which may be inherited by offspring. These changes can influence stress responses and behavior in descendants. Parental behavior. Parents who have experienced trauma may exhibit altered caregiving behaviors, such as increased anxiety or overprotectiveness, which can affect their children's emotional development. So family narratives, stories and attitudes about past traumas shared within families can shape descendants' identities and perceptions, contributing to the internalization of ancestral experiences. So implications for descendants. Descendants of individuals who have experienced significant trauma may exhibit various psychological and behavioral patterns, including anxiety and depression, increased susceptibility to mood disorders, so trust issues, difficulty forming trusting relationships, so hypervigilance, heightened sensitivity to potential threats, so identity confusion, struggles with self-concept and belonging, so healing and resilience. While the legacy of ancestral trauma can pose challenges, understanding its impact opens pathways to healing. Therapeutic interventions, approaches such as trauma-focused therapy, can help individuals process inherited trauma. So cultural revitalization, engaging with and reclaiming cultural practices, can strengthen identity and resilience. So education and awareness, recognizing the signs of transgenerational trauma, can empower individuals and communities to seek support and foster healing environments. So relax and reflect on these insights. Consider how the echoes of the past may influence the present, and how awareness and understanding can pave the way for healing and resilience across generations. Part 8. Healing transgenerational trauma. As we continue our exploration into the transference of memories and experiences across generations, it's essential to address the pathways to healing transgenerational trauma. Understanding and acknowledging the impact of ancestral experiences can lead to profound personal and collective healing. Understanding the mother wound. The mother wound refers to the emotional pain and patterns inherited from one's mother, often stemming from societal, cultural, or familial pressures. These wounds can manifest as low self-esteem, difficulty setting boundaries, or codependency. Recognizing and healing the mother wound is crucial for personal development and breaking the cycle of intergenerational trauma. These are part of therapeutic approaches to healing. Several therapeutic modalities have proven effective in addressing and healing transgenerational trauma. These are PAM and somatic experiencing. This therapy focuses on the body's sensations to process and release trauma, acknowledging that traumatic experiences can be stored in the body. These are eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing, EMDR. EMDR helps individuals reprocess traumatic memories, reducing their emotional charge and integrating them into a healthier narrative. These are internal family systems, EFS. IFS explores the different parts within an individual, addressing internal conflicts and healing wounded subpersonalities. These are actress and advocate Mariska Hargitay has spoken about how these therapeutic approaches have been instrumental in her healing journey, helping her reprocess and understand her traumas. These are people collective healing initiatives beyond individual therapy. Collective approaches play a vital role in healing transgenerational trauma. These are community dialogues, facilitating open conversations within communities about shared traumas, can promote understanding and collective healing. These are cultural revitalization, Engaging in and reviving cultural practices can restore a sense of identity and continuity, counteracting the effects of historical traumas. Soothe educational programs, raising awareness about the impacts of transgenerational trauma, can empower individuals and communities to seek healing and support. Soothe confer role of mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness practices, including meditation, can help individuals become aware of inherited patterns and responses, creating space for intentional change and healing. Soothe, the journey of healing. Transgenerational trauma is a multifaceted journey that involves self-awareness, therapeutic intervention, and community support. By acknowledging the past and its influence on the present, individuals and communities can pave the way for a healthier, more integrated future. Soothe pool. As you relax and reflect on these healing pathways, consider how embracing both individual and collective efforts can transform the legacies of trauma into narratives of resilience and growth. Part 9. The controversy and challenges in transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. As we delve deeper into the concept of transgenerational memory, it's essential to acknowledge the ongoing debates and challenges within the scientific community regarding transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. While intriguing evidence suggests that environmental factors can influence gene expression across generations, the extent and mechanisms of this phenomenon remain subjects of active research and discussion. Though scientific skepticism and challenges, several factors contribute to the skepticism surrounding transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. Epigenetic reprogramming. During early development, organisms undergo extensive epigenetic reprogramming, which typically resets epigenetic marks. This process raises questions about how epigenetic modifications could escape reprogramming and be transmitted to subsequent generations. Distinguishing between generational effects. Differentiating between direct environmental effects on multiple generations and true transgenerational inheritance is challenging. For instance, exposures affecting a pregnant individual can influence the developing fetus and its germ cells, potentially impacting the third generation directly. Reproducibility and consistency. Variability in study designs, environmental exposures, and species differences can lead to inconsistent results, making it difficult to draw definitive conclusions about the mechanisms and prevalence of transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. Current research and perspectives. Despite these challenges, ongoing research continues to explore the potential for transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. Animal models, studies in organisms like plants, nematodes, and fruit flies have provided evidence of epigenetic inheritance, offering insights into possible mechanisms that might also apply to mammals. Human studies. Epidemiological research has identified associations between ancestral exposures and health outcomes in descendants, suggesting potential epigenetic mechanisms. However, establishing causation and underlying processes in humans remains complex. Future directions to address these challenges. Researchers are focusing on mechanistic studies, investigating the molecular pathways that allow certain epigenetic marks to escape reprogramming and be inherited. Standardizing methodologies. developing consistent experimental designs and controls to improve reproducibility across studies. Docent longitudinal research, conducting multi-generational studies to observe the persistence and impact of epigenetic changes over time. As you relax and reflect on these complexities, consider how the interplay between our genes, environments, and experiences continues to shape our understanding of inheritance. The ongoing exploration into transgenerational epigenetic inheritance not only challenges traditional views, but also opens new avenues for understanding the legacy of our ancestral experiences. Part 10. The Future of Epigenetics and Transgenerational Memory. As we conclude our exploration into the transference of memories and experiences across generations, it's inspiring to consider the future directions and potential applications of research in epigenetics and transgenerational memory. Advancements in this field hold promise for enhancing our understanding of human health, behavior, and evolution. Though personalized medicine insights into epigenetic mechanisms may lead to personalized medical interventions, but epigenetic therapies developing treatments that specifically target epigenetic modifications could offer new avenues for diseases influenced by epigenetic changes, such as certain cancers and mental health disorders. Predictive diagnostics. Epigenetic markers could serve as early indicators of disease susceptibility, allowing for proactive lifestyle adjustments and interventions. Behavioral and psychological applications. Understanding the epigenetic impact of experiences can inform therapeutic practices. Trauma-informed care. Recognizing the potential for inherited trauma effects can lead to more compassionate and effective mental health treatments. Resilience building. Identifying epigenetic factors associated with resilience may guide interventions that strengthen adaptive capacities in individuals and communities. Tranquil considerations. The expanding knowledge of epigenetics raises important ethical questions. Concerns. Epigenetic information could reveal sensitive details about an individual's ancestry and health risks, necessitating careful handling and consent. Intergenerational responsibility. Understanding that our behaviors may affect future generations imposes ethical considerations regarding lifestyle choices and environmental stewardship. Educational and societal impacts. Integrating epigenetic knowledge into public awareness can influence societal norms. Education. Educating the public about the impact of environmental factors on gene expression can promote healthier behaviors and environments. Development. Policymakers might consider epigenetic research when designing regulations related to environmental exposures and public health initiatives. As you relax and reflect on these future possibilities, consider how the burgeoning field of epigenetics offers a more nuanced understanding of inheritance, identity, and human potential. Embracing this knowledge invites us to be mindful of our actions and their ripple effects across generations, fostering a deeper connection to ourselves, our ancestors, and our descendants.